When you move into design or illustration that is gets a little more complex than like the skull you saw, you can use shape building in combination with the point by point method. And if you check out the combined method video on the DVD, we go into a far more complex example than what's shown here right now on screen. But I wanted to show you something that isn't so straightforward as the skull. It's not as complex as the one in the combined. It's in the middle ground here. So we're going to use the shape building method to build most of what you see on screen here. And let's get started. So primarily what we're going to use is the ellipse tool right here. And I like to start with the eye, and we just pull that out and create that. Now I like to use my clone feature that I've set up, F3, and if you want to know more about that, then check out I believe it's chapter 2 in the book, which we go over how to set up keyboard shortcuts. And it's really important that you set up a lot of custom keys that you use that fit well for your own creative process. The ones in the book, I just demonstrate and lay open the ones I like to use and the ones I depend on all the time. But that said, you can come up with your own, and it's going to improve your productivity and just make building a lot easier, a lot more effortless. So I'm using shapes to create, in this case, the eyebrow. And like a cookie cutter, we'll go to the Pathfinder palette right here and click minus front, and you can see how it lops that off. Now this is where a throwaway shape comes in. I'm not creating this to use it. I'm creating it to further progress my other shape and finish it off. Once again, the minus front, and we lop it off. So that's how we get our eyebrow. So that's shape building, essentially right there. We're not doing it point by point by point. You could build this moon point by point, but you really don't need to. You can just simply use the ellipse tool and just create the shapes you need in order to form the final shape of the moon you're after. And I use my clone feature all the time. So you can see kind of how I depend on that just to create my shapes. And I continue to clone things. Like this. And you have to keep in mind some of the things I'm showing you here. On this specific piece of artwork, I would use ellipse tool to create it just because it would be faster, the curves would be more precise, but sometimes you don't want it to be that precise. Sometimes you want it to be a little funky monkey, so it's okay to build it point by point. So I just created the two shapes. These two shapes will form this little cut-in for the mouth. So right now it's looking a little convoluted, and that's okay because we're getting there. And right now I'm creating basically the whole back half of the moon. I'm not used to running commentary while I'm working, so I do work faster than this. It's just my mental RAM isn't geared for giving color commentary as I work, so I apologize for that. So now we're going to just start taking the shapes we laid down, such as this one that makes the under part of his nose. Make sure that's on top. Select this shape, and we'll minus front to punch that out. Then we'll take this shape, and we'll combine those two. And just so you can see what's going on, I'm going to go ahead and fill this with, let's just fill it with blue, just so you can see what's going on. So that's the shape we've created, okay? Here's the other shape that makes up the back part of the moon. And just so you can see that as well, we're going to go ahead and color that yellow. We're not going to worry about the other two ellipse shapes that are underneath it. This is just so we can focus on that. That's a little hard on the eyes. Let's switch this to this color. There, that's a little better. Okay, we're going to select these two and we'll punch them out to create the moon shape. Then we're going to go back to that. We've got an extra shape here for some reason. We're going to toss that. So we're going to select these two ellipse pieces that form the mouth, punch them out. I still call it punch. Here's another example of engineers naming tools. Minus front tool, you know, or you could call it punch, but you know, that's too simple. I call it punch because in freehand it was punch. So you select these two shapes and you punch them out, or minus front, sorry about that. And that's how you can create your shape really fast. You know, the background shape, once again, it's an ellipse. So we just draw it out using the ellipse tool, rotate it using the rotate tool, and then just match it up with our drawing. Now this also goes to point out that I'm drawing this ellipse in my sketch knowing it's going to be built with the ellipse tool. It's obviously not perfect. It's kind of, it doesn't align perfectly with the ellipse. That's okay because I'm going to build it with a nice precise tool. So I'm just giving myself the general guide of what I'm going to do. So I lay down that shape. So we're almost done here. Now you could take the star tool and you could use it to create stars like this. That's why they made the tool. But personally, and this goes back to other videos where I've mentioned this regarding the forest. If you're going to illustrate a forest, don't illustrate one tree and clone it 1,000 times. We're only talking 3 stars here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to build this. And once again, I'm going to turn off smart guides because this is an example of when they get annoying. And I'm just going to go ahead and build my star point by point. Yes, this is a shape building video, but as I've stated in other videos, all of these methods and these mental tricks and everything I'm showing you, they all interrelate, they all overlap, they all connect with each other. More than likely, you're going to use the point-by-point method and the shape-building method in almost everything you do. So the fact that I'm working in some point-by-point is just the way it is because the sample I showed you with the skull, that was distinctly only shape-building. But as you can see, you can't get away with building stuff that's slightly more complex than that without working in point-by-point. So this is all the shapes right here that we created using the shape building method. So that's great. That can save you a lot of time. Now, this is where I would say the magic of television, but not television. I'm going to show you what the coloring of this looks like. We're not going to get into that because this book is all about building shapes, the raw basic shapes, how you color, detail, and flesh stuff out. That's a whole nother book in itself, and I might be doing that eventually too, but we're going to show you how this artwork then turned out in the final form. And this is the happy little moon. Gave him a little hat, and that's how you can use shape building to create your designs, be it graphic design, logos, icons, manipulating the letter forms and the logo type, or in this case, a little spot illustration. That's shape building. Hope you start to use these methods. Thanks for watching.